You, as a visitor to the Isle of Skye, may be like these guys, getting your motor running, heading out on the highway, looking for adventure in whatever comes your way. And the Isle of Skye is a fabulous place to do those things. To paraphrase a joke made by Bert the geologist in The Big Bang Theory, what do geologists and these guys have in common? They love rock. To paraphrase the real geologist and naturalist Charles Darwin, just as a musician gains a deeper insight into music, so having a little geological interest allows the truly awesome landscape of the Isle of Skye to reveal its beautiful secrets. Within this stunning landscape and craggy mountains is the story of Britain and how it came to be. We see a static, unchanging landscape, but locked into the rocks is a history of extremes, from tropical seas to glaciers. The island has the oldest rocks, some 3 billion years old, to the youngest geology, only a few thousand years old, with fossilised dinosaur footprints to volcanic fiery past in between. I focus on the ancient Lewisian gneiss in another video, and there's a link to that in the description. Mountains and lava hills dominate the landscape, but prior to their appearance 60 million years ago, it was previously a land of dinosaurs. Ancient lithified seabed and shallow lagoons laid 170 million years ago in the Jurassic. This landscape can be seen around the edges of the island at sea level. Below Duntom Castle, you can look for dinosaur footprints. You may associate dinosaurs with the Jurassic, but it was the Cretaceous that came after that saw the more popular, well-known species evolve. The dinosaurs of this period who left footprints in the mud were the forebears of vegetarian Brontosaurus and carnivores similar to the T-Rex. At Staffin Harbour, three-toed footprints can also be found. In the sky, pterosaurs flew. The best locations for footprint hunting are here in the north, at Staffin, and near Croc Rock. In the south of the island, sandy limestone cliffs and caves reveal this was once the sea floor of shallow tropical waters during the Jurassic. The rock is rich in fossils of shells and other marine life, including brachiopods and crinoids. You can get down to the shore, and on a sunny day, it looks even tropical. The shallow waters and mudflats hosted dinosaurs for 40 million years. During the Cretaceous period, some 145 million years ago, rising sea levels drowned all but the mountains of the mainland. In the sea, algae with hard shells thrived, falling to the seafloor when they died, forming a thick layer of chalk. Southern England was also underwater, and there the chalk has survived. In Scotland, it was quickly eroded away. 66 million years ago, the meteor wiped out the 150 million year reign of the dinosaurs. India crashed into Asia, pushing up the Himalayas, and so Britain's union with Greenland and North America also came to an end. Tectonic forces opened up the gap to create the North Atlantic. This thinned the crust, allowing lava from deep within the mantle to bubble up. The Cullin Hills on the Isle of Skye have fascinated geologists for over 2 centuries. Their story begins with this volcanic activity during the opening stages of the North Atlantic Ocean, as the continents of North America and Europe slowly separated at 5 centimeters a year. The tectonic plates just couldn't maintain a relationship. There was just too much friction between them, so they went their separate ways. The rift thinned the crust, and this caused depressurization, which in turn caused the rocks to melt. Like a fizzy drinks bottle, take the lid off and it depressurizes and the liquid fizzes up. Large volumes of basalt lava were erupted from long, narrow fissures on what is now the west coast of Scotland. As time went on, this volcanism became focused at several specific locations, creating large central volcanoes. The 10-kilometre wide Cullin was active with several volcanic cones. Volcanoes are fueled by magma, molten rock comprising of crystals and gas welling up from the Earth's mantle, which is only cooled lava once it erupts at the Earth's surface. The magma rose through the crust before pooling in chambers beneath these active volcanoes, and there it underwent various transformational processes. During a volcanic eruption, not all the magma is ejected from the chamber, some kilometres below the Earth's surface. Some remains within the crust, and that slowly cools and solidifies. This frozen plumbing is what we see today. The Cullin Hills are composed of a rock called gabbro. It's iron and magnesium rich, slow-cooled intrusive rock with large crystals, and if you look carefully you can see feldspar and pyroxene. What you see is 10 million years of volcanic activity. This underground chamber fed several volcanic cones, the classic-looking volcano. And in the process, different eruptions ejected a wide variety of lava forms, from runny lava to ash to exploding bombs, the remains of which can be found scattered over the island. The Cullin Hills represent one of the best places in the world to study the internal plumbing system of a volcano, and as such, it continues to attract visitors from the interested to the professional geologist. Everything you see was once thousands of meters below the Earth, anywhere from 6 to 10 kilometers deep. So how over 60 million years did they pop up so high? It's a fascinating question, and one that is complicated. Someone better qualified than me would no doubt explain the forces better. Mountains do emerge as continental plates collide or are stressed. While Skye was actively volcanic and America and Greenland were sailing west, the ancient rocks in the Outer Hebrides were pushed up by these forces. But other forces at work that pushed up the Cullins were the viscous nature of the rocks, the crust here being more mobile because of the heat, and as the volcano cones were quickly eroded away, so their weight being lifted allowed the magma chamber, filled with this solidified magma, to pop to the surface like a cork. Of course, it's all very slow, a few millimeters or less each year, but over a million years, 1 millimeter each year equals a kilometer. The volcanoes at the height were around 2 kilometers high, and the magma chamber 6 or so kilometers deep. So with just a millimeter a year of erosion of the cone, and an uplift or exhumation of just a millimeter a year, it takes 8 million years to see what we see. This brings us to the red Cullins. Unlike the lava of the black Cullins, which quickly erodes into its jagged crags, the red mountains are granite, formed deep in the Earth's crust as magma rose up and pulled 20 kilometres underground. Initially it was created with the same magma that formed the Black Cullins. But after all the gabbros and basalts with more interesting minerals were ejected, it left a silica-rich magma, but that never broke the surface. Insulated deep beneath the Earth, it took thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of years to cool. Granites with very big crystals take 1 million years to solidify, so consider that the next time you look at a particularly expensive granite workshop. This blob, and the technical term is a batholith of M-type granite, slowly worked its way to the surface, like a zit, and being exposed as the mountains we see when all the material above had been eroded away. Being a harder material, it forms these red smooth hills. The mind-bending timescales of geology make the subject a little daunting, but some of the volcanic landscape occurred in days. The fairy pools are stunning, but their beauty is partly the rocks they cascade through. Look carefully and you can see different forms of lava as it cooled. This wall-like structure is a dike. Its width formed in a very short span of time and records the crack in the earth as it opened. And it was the sudden movement as North America headed west and allowed lava to flow up. When it got to the surface, runny lava flooded out, smothering everything, creating layers. Imagine a chocolate fountain, although a fiery red-hot chocolate sauce. The same process is happening now in Iceland. Flood basalts, as they are known, cover much of Skye, layer after layer, flooding out over 10 million years. It wasn't a fiery hell for all of that time, just like Iceland. There are quiet periods, and long enough for nature to reclaim. And it's worth noting that volcanic Iceland has been around 16 million years and is still volcanically active. Iceland sits on that rift, a crack that runs up the middle of the North Atlantic that ejects lava as North America and Europe continue to separate, filling that gap with fresh lava at about 2.5 centimetres a year. If you flew London to New York 30 years ago, it would be a metre further away today. Very deep down, close to the molten mantle, the separating continents allow for a plume. It's a hot spot to rise up. As the magma rose, pressure, which of course is immense so deep down, dropped. And that drop in pressure caused more melting, which in turn caused it to get hotter and more fluid. Cracks in the crust formed cold fissures, and these allowed vast amounts of fluid lava to flood out. Thick layers after layer, and you can see each eruption, and some of those would perhaps been a few months in timescale. The rift between Europe and North America first started in Jurassic times, and the first attempt is between the British Isles and Europe, and formed a deep depression in the North Sea. It's why oil was able to form. But that separation stalled, which is why we are not off the coast of Canada. 60 to 50 million years or so, it started to split here in the Inner Hebrides, all the way down to Northern Ireland and the Giant's Causeway. But that separation also stalled, which is why the Outer Hebrides are not islands off the coast of Canada. And the Isle of Skye is not the size of Iceland. Vast quantities of lava flowed out, and you can see the individual eruptions. At Mealt Falls, another form of magma extrusion can be seen. Here, much older Jurassic rock has been raised up. It's the pale-coloured rock. Here, a sill formed. The lava pushed up, but didn't get to the surface. Instead, it found a weak crack between the sedimentary layers of sandy limestone, and the lava flooded the gap, pushing the older rock apart, like injecting jam between two slices of bread. What is noticeable here is the lava forms neat columns. Not as geometric as Giant's Causeway, but this indicates how the magma cooled. Neatly insulated, its cooling is similar to mud drying out, hence the regular patterns. It was James Hutton, the Scottish polymath, who worked out 260 years ago that the geological processes active today are the same processes that were active in the past. The forces active in Iceland and Hawaii today can be seen in Skye. And an advantage of the Cullins is that the magma chamber can now be explored, and the rock studied and analysed to help understand what is going on deep underground. Geology is Earth's autobiography. It's a staggeringly good read, and you can pick it up any time and learn to read it. And get some healthy walks in the process. The last great final stage in the shaping of Skye can be measured in tens of thousands of years. The ice age that carved and shaped the mountains and valleys as glaciers and ice sheets flowed down. The Stor and the Qurange formed when the ice melted, causing a massive lateral landslip 12,000 years ago. And it's a process that is still happening today. Geology in action. For a deeper explanation of this landslip that forms stunning and alien landscapes, check my video out on the subject, and there's a link below. There is a very recent period when minerals were created on Skye. After the end of the last glaciation, the lakes that formed in a warmer period teemed with plant life. Diatoms. It's a microalgae with hard shells, similar to the algae whose remains created chalk. Their little hard shells are silicate, and that material built up over a few thousand years to form a soft sedimentary rock, a chalk-like material called diatomite. It's used as a filler for pills and foodstuffs and explosives. So valuable, a railway was built from Lilt to these lakes to mine and export it in 1889. You can see the factory where the mineral was processed beneath the Mealt Falls. Next time you plan a road trip, check out the geology of Skye, and whilst you're at it, check out Mike and Artur's biker channel. 2 T's to room 2. Thanks for watching, like, comment and subscribe.
Let's go Brighton.